Hey guys, Jason here with Mastermind, and today's video is going to be all about taking one simple riff. And let me just ask you real quick before we get into this, how many riffs have you written? And you're thinking, well, that's a cool riff, but I'd like to do more with it, but you just can't seem to get past go. It's like you're just stuck on that one riff. Well, we're going to go over some methods and techniques to turn that one riff into, well, about 7 riffs. I think I got 7 riffs coming up for you based on just the one riff that we're about to play. So actually, let's get into the first riff right here. So that was a pretty basic metal riff. We got 3 power chords that we're kind of focused on here, an F sharp, a G, then an E power chord there. We've got some cool palm muting, kind of typical, but hey, that can be used in many different songs. Now, what we're gonna do is we're going to expand on this riff and what can we do? What should we add to this? How can we play the same riff but make it sound a little bit different, a little bit more exciting? Well, let's try this. So we took the same exact riff and all we did was we just added some single notes. We replaced those first 2 power chords with some single note action there. Now we went back to the E power chord and just kept those heavy palm mutes in there. So you could do something like this. You could play it way number 1, the first way we did that with the power chords, and then the second time around maybe add these single note riffs in there as well. You could merge those 2 together and come up with something really cool. Let's move on to the third way we can change up this riff and maybe make it sound even cooler. We chopped things up a little bit here, and that choppiness just really kept it moving, made it a little bit more interesting. This is a perfect way to just throw something in the middle of a song if you want to change things up a little bit. Maybe you've got this riff and like, I'm kind of tired of playing the same power chords or the same notes there. Well, use that same thing, but just change the picking strategy. We're going back and forth between 2 strings constantly while we have that palm mute going there. So this is a really cool strategy, really cool way you can change things up. And we are playing downstrokes here, by the way. You could alternate pick that, but to get that texture that you heard just now, we're using the downstrokes on that. Don't worry, we're getting into some alternate picking. So let's hear another way we can change up this metal riff. This is similar to what we did 2 times ago. The second way we played the metal riff, I think this is number 4 here. So we went back to the single notes, but we just added more to it. Remember the single notes we played earlier were just on that one string. Well, here we're utilizing both strings for the single notes. We're expanding the melody. So now you've got a really cool and even more broad melody going on here. And I mean, this could follow like the vocal line if you wanted to do that, or if you wanted like a second guitar to harmonize with what we just did, that would be something cool that you could do as well. Let's move on to the 5th way we can change up this riff and maybe make it sound just a little cooler. This is one of my personal favorite techniques. I love to play these. I call them gallops. They're a really quick pick, and remember I said we were going to change it up and do some alternate picking. Well, that's what we're doing in this 5th version of this riff here. So it's just a quick 1 2 3, just back and forth 1 2 3. Again, I call these gallops. You're only playing 3 notes very quickly at one time there, and we just move throughout the riff with these gallops. Now this can really change the subgenre of the song that you're writing. Let's say you're starting out with more of like a classic heavy metal style style, kind of like what we've been doing with those 3 power chords, maybe adding some palm mute. Well, when you switch over to something like this, using that alternate picking, those really fast gallops, it kind of changes it over to maybe a little bit more darker style of metal. Maybe we get into some death metal, or maybe into some really harder thrash metal, something like that. So again, just another good strategy that you can throw in there. Here, in my opinion, we went full on death metal style here. We kept that alternate picking going, but we followed the strategy that we used earlier when we expanded those single notes. So the only thing different we're doing here is we're just keeping the alternate picking steady throughout this riff here. And again, this gets us into a different subgenre of metal. This gets us into some death metal, melodic death metal, maybe even black metal. Another thing you could do is imagine playing that somewhere higher up on your fretboard, since we're talking about black metal, getting some of those higher notes. And of course, we want you to try that. We want to try these strategies all throughout the fretboard. That's another way you can change up these riffs, by the way, play them in a different place, in a different key. But yeah, here we've got the alternate picking, that steady right hand, that picking hand, just going at it. There's one more change up we have to this riff, and well, let's play that right now. Now we've got a lot more finger movement, as you just heard, and we do something really cool at the end here too. Well, overall, we're just kind of combining some different things. We'll get to that. But first, we start out with those single note riffs, but we expand them even further now. And again, we're moving around a lot more here. And we've got this really cool melody, like that first part that we're playing there. Well, we use that same structure on the next chord. Remember, we start with the F sharp, it's based on the F sharp, then we go to the G. We're kind of keeping that same pattern there on the 2 different chords. And of course, we go into that E chord to end, and that's where we change up the technique a little bit here. So here we're actually combining multiple techniques together in one riff. Sometimes we may get caught up in playing just downstrokes for the riff, which that's fine, that's okay. But if you really want to change things up, try going to the gallops or the alternate picking or something else, and then go back to the regular downstrokes and just kind of mixing up these techniques within the same riff. Well, that can really bring those riffs to life. Now, to expand even further, I want you to go back through this video and just listen to all these riffs, maybe even play along with them. But I want you to start combining these together. You know, we talked about that earlier in the video where we took the 2 styles and we said, what if you did this? What if you played style number 1, version number 1, and then halfway through that you flipped over to version number 2? Well, what if you're playing version number 2 of the riff? And I want you to go back and listen to these again, and then play maybe version number 6 or version number 7 along with that. Now you're really starting to expand on your riffs and your riff writing. Now, the homework assignment that I have for you, yes, we have homework today. I want you to do what we just did, take those riffs, start meshing them together, but I want you to expand on them. I want you to go outside of what we're doing here and maybe again play those power chords and those single notes and everything that we did. Start playing around with those in different keys, maybe a different place on the fretboard, and just expand. Maybe add another chord, add another 3 chords to it if you want. Maybe reduce it down to just 2 chords. See what you can come up with. Remember, this is your music. There's no right or wrong answers here. So I just want you to expand on these riffs, go back and listen to them, play around with them, and see what kind of cool riffs you can come up with. If this video helped you, please give it a thumbs up and make sure you're subscribed to the Metal Mastermind channel. We are all about helping metal musicians take it to the next step. And also, we want to help you create your own style and sound. You have that within you. You already know that. So our job at Metal Mastermind is really just to help you expand on that. Lastly, do check out our courses. We have guitar courses, online guitar courses. We have a full songwriting course called Metal Songwriters Forge. We've got music theory courses, vocal courses. There's a link in the description of this video. So please check out our courses, see what we have to offer, and we'll see you on the next video. As always, create your own sound.